Type in freedom now. I'm Latoya McBean Pompey, an immigration lawyer in New York, working with clients nationwide and in many different countries. We are here today to talk about some breaking immigration news involving USCIS, DHS, Department of Homeland Security, who, that agency is now backtracking on the policy memo that we were talking about just a week ago around the same time, okay? The policy memo on adjustment of status, that's going to be the first topic. We're also going to talk about some new interview questions that USCIS is asking folks as they go in for their adjustment of status interview. We'll also talk about that weird Aliens.gov website. We'll talk about that. And certainly, we'll talk a little bit about our Lyft lawsuits at McBean Law and when we're next available. Let's start with our availability. For those of you who need to go one-on-one with us in a consultation, you may do so by calling us at 914-898-9488. And as a matter of fact, you could reach us 7 days a week, including today. You could call us and book your appointment. We have availability. My colleagues are available on June 2nd and 2nd, 4th, 8th, and the 9th. Okay, so we have some availability, some consultation slots this coming week. So you could reach out to us, or you could certainly send an email with your request, and someone on our team will email you back. You could reach us at info@mcbeanlaw.com and book that appointment. Now, let's talk about this weird turn of events, a good turn of events, of course, but we're still dealing with the shock of last week's news that USCIS, that policy memo stating that it wants to remind its officers that when they're considering adjustment of status, that they need to remember that it's an extraordinary relief and an act of administrative grace. And as a matter of fact, folks need to go back to their home country and consular process rather than stay here in the United States and apply for a green card legally through their relative or employer, that they need to just go back. That was the big news last week that we were talking about. And then today, or last night, I would say, the New York Times, and I'll just pull it up, okay? Pull this up here. The New York Times shared with the world that actually most immigrants won't need to leave the United States to get green cards after all, says DHS. By the way, DHS is quoted in this article. However, the person or the official at the White House and also at DHS who spoke to the New York Times about this memo did so without revealing his or her identity, okay? So the source has not been revealed. So in this article, New York Times says the Department of Homeland Security sought on Friday to clarify its announcement last week that immigrants seeking permanent residency would have to return to their home countries to await their green cards, claiming there was no major change in policy and that only some will have to go back. Well, we already know that some folks have to go back, right? Individuals who enter the United States without inspection, there's a process for them to follow, which is by applying for a waiver, the I-601A waiver, and waiting until that's approved, and then they can go back to their home country for an embassy consular process. Well, that we already know that. The New York Times says that the clarification appeared to be a partial walk back of an announcement in a USCIS news release last week, despite a long-standing policy of allowing immigrants to remain in the country while they wait for their green cards. It said individuals would now have to go back while they wait, except in extraordinary cases. And we've talked about the fact that on the Saturday, I think Sunday, or I think maybe Saturday or Sunday of last week, that the USCIS spokesperson came out and said that individuals who are applying for a green card and their application is going to benefit our economy somehow, or it's within the national interest, well, those individuals will not face this new higher level of scrutiny to adjust their status. They could stay here and do so. And so we knew that there was some sort of carve out for these individuals, but we didn't know anything else. Oh, also, we knew about refugees. Refugees would also not be subject to this new memo. But on Friday, the Homeland Security Department said it was not a blanket change and that it would be up to individual immigration officers to decide whether someone should be forced to go abroad to gain a green card. They said that officers have long had such discretion. And here's the quote from the DHS spokesperson. This was just a reminder. This was just a reminder, guys, to officers of their discretionary authority, which has always existed on a case-by-case basis. The spokesperson declined to provide a name. The person pointed to people who overstay their visas and come from countries whose citizens are heavy users of public assistance as groups that could be affected. It was a substantial shift, friends, from last week's announcement. Then it goes on to say, though announced with a news release, a senior White House official said this week that the effort was meant to be a housekeeping matter, not a change of strategy. The official discussed internal deliberations on the condition of anonymity. Some immigration lawyers said their clients were already being asked by USCIS officers in interviews this week why they were applying for a green card. And I've seen these emails by immigration attorneys who have been reporting out this week, friends. This is accurate. They've been reporting out that their clients were asked various questions, new questions during the adjustment of status interviews that lawyers we had never seen asked before. And so anyway, the New York Times ends their article by saying that the guidance also left open the question of whether people from the scores of countries for which immigrant visa processing has been paused will have to go back to apply for green cards. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the thing. There was a lot of pressure on DHS. It was like the number one news in the country last week, this time, really. And they felt the pressure from the business community, which New York Times also discussed here as well. This is having a chilling effect on on employers who want to hire foreign workers, qualified workers in the tech industry and other industries. They're like, wait a minute, how could we do this knowing that our government is actually trying to send people abroad or to penalize individuals for following the right process, the legal channels to become a permanent resident in the U.S. This is having a deep impact. And New York Times also did point out that interest from foreign job seekers in U.S. positions has already fallen sharply, according to data from the hiring platform Indeed. So anyway, here's what should you do in response to this. Last week, we were all like, oh my God, oh my God. Although I did share with you guys some strategies last week as well on how to move forward and how to tackle this problem. If you had not yet watched last Saturday's live session, Fight Back, USCIS Adjustment of Status Memo, evidence to fight back and questions USCIS might ask you, go watch that live session or save it and watch it whenever you feel the need to do so, because there's a lot of good information in that session about how you could strategize and prepare yourself for a possible adjustment of status interview. And also, I mentioned the fact that you could still apply for adjustment of status. It has not gone away. You should still move forward and apply if you choose to, of course, and you're qualified to do so. You should still do so with the help of a trusted attorney. Okay. Now, let's talk about the questions, however, that attorneys have been reporting out on. The fact that Their clients, friends, their clients were asked various questions during their interviews at USCIS. So many of you had been asking, does this apply to people who had already applied for a green card? And I've been saying to you, my early understanding is yes. And so other immigration attorneys are also saying yes to that because they're seeing this. We haven't, no one in our office. I don't think we had any interviews done this week. I'm not even sure, but I did not hear from any of my attorney colleagues that, oh, we went on an interview and USCIS officers asked these questions. But other trusted immigration attorneys have had this experience. Here's the first question that they're reporting out that USCIS is now asking. Why did you apply for adjustment of status in the United States instead of going through consular processing? Tell us why. Why are you choosing this route rather than consular processing? That's kind of a no-brainer. These questions, friends, prepare your answers. Certainly when with your attorneys as you're preparing for your interview. Okay, this is for you to consider with your attorney. The second question is, are there any factors that prevent you from applying through consular processing? Well, like, duh, if I left the United States, I would be barred for 10 years, potentially, or there's hardship to my US citizen relative. I can't leave and take that risk. You have your answer. You'll find your answer, of course. You know what those factors are. And then thirdly, why, and this is a question we covered on Saturday, why did you not return home? Why did you not return to your home country when your authorized period of stay expired and you became out of status? Tell us, what were you thinking back in 1999 when you came to the United States and you made the decision to stay? Tell us, what were you thinking in 2022 when you came to the United States and you decided to stay? What was going on then? Why didn't you return? We covered this at length last week, so watch last Saturday's live session. But these are the three questions that are new that officers have asked some immigration attorneys. Friends, as you're joining this live session, thank you for being here. We're going to just keep it moving. You could always go to McBean Immigration TV on YouTube to watch the video in its entirety, this session in its entirety. Okay, so prepare yourself, friends, for your adjustment of status interview. Here's what I'm also watching. Okay, I'm also watching. What I'm watching is, I'd like to see more green card approvals. I'd like to see more adjustment of status approvals. I'd like to know what's really going on at USCIS with respect to adjustment of status, generally speaking. Yes, we know adjustment of status is now under attack. We know that legal immigration is really being challenged at this time. Where are the approvals? Where are why approvals have slowed down? That's one thing I could tell you. Approvals have slowed down. Why? What's going on? That's what I really want to know. And I'm not just speaking about individuals who are from one of those 39 travel ban countries. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about more across the board. I'd like for you guys to report out to me even during this live session. Okay, even report out during this live session, and I'll go back primarily on YouTube and look at your notes. Okay, and maybe Facebook. I'd like to see what you have to say to this question. Have you gotten a green card approval over the last maybe 2 months, 2 or 3 months? If so, let us know. We have seen some, of course, and we've been reporting out on some of our work. Yes, we've seen some, but not at the pace that we're accustomed to. So I'd like to know what's going on with adjustment of status at USCIS. I'd really like to know what's going on there. Tell us your experience as well, friends. Whether you have gotten your adjustment of status approval over the last 3 months. I'd really like to take that kind of poll. So prepare yourself for that interview, and and strategize with your immigration attorney about how you're going to tackle your adjustment of status case. Because as I've said before, USCIS is going to just do a balancing act, so to speak. They're going to look at what's positive about you versus what's negative about you and go into that kind of scrutiny and ask you for additional evidence. Okay, additional evidence. So where's your comment? I'm specifically actually looking for comments from you about whether you've been approved of adjustment of status over the last 3 months. All right. Okay. Now let's go. Let's go. Um, some folks in the comments are saying, go to your interview, do not miss your interview. They are correct about that. I don't know what prompted that in the chat, but they are correct. If you have an interview, and interviews are also being canceled and rescheduled, and there's adjustment of status interviews. So I really want to know what's going on with adjustment of status. Inquiry minds want to know, and we're looking at this, and this is a serious issue. But go to your interview if they did schedule an interview for you, and be prepared for the interview, guys. They are not detaining people at these interviews at the level that we saw months ago. That practice has really died down quite a bit. Okay, people are reporting now that they've gotten annoyed, a notice of intent to deny. What else is going on there? Okay, I'm going to move on. But if I do see something interesting, I will break and talk about it. All right, guys. All right. You guys have seen also how bizarre, right? How bizarre our government, what in the world were they thinking when you thought you've seen it all? Just when you thought you've seen it all, they come out with this thing, this aliens website. Have you guys seen this? They walk among us. They walk among us. The website says for 60 years, the US government has kept a closely guarded secret. Aliens have been walking among us, living in our neighborhoods and interacting with us in our daily lives. Oh, yeah, they've been coming to your home to take care of your children. They've been cleaning your house. They've been running good businesses that employ US citizens, green card holders, and others. They've been very productive in the tech industry to move America forward. They've been out there in those agricultural fields. Of course, they've been among us. They've shopped in the same stores, attended the same classes as our children, and lived seemingly normal human existence. Guys, this is from the government website. They actually put this out there for us to read and consider. With one exception, they do not belong here. They do not belong here. That that line, that line broke my heart, guys. I mean, we're all aliens here in the United States, one way or the other, right? Um, for the most part. They do not belong here, this website says. Our government is saying now. Millions arrived under the cover of darkness and embedded themselves directly into our society. And then it says, it goes on to say that instead of protecting American citizens, they, being the politicians, chose to cover it up and even accelerate the invasion until one man finally had the courage to tell the truth, bold, unapologetic, unafraid. Guys, it goes on to say that the truth is no longer out there. It is right here, right now. And then it has this some sort of tickler here showing 3.1 million encounters. And then there's this heat map that is pulling data from various places, law enforcement sources, I assume, across the United States, showing the penetration of arrests, of this invasion, so to speak, of individuals who have been arrested by, I guess, local police or maybe even ICE. I'm not even certain on what the source of the data is, Don't know if the veracity of the information on this website, but it allows people to put in whatever city they'd like to see what's going on. And so here on the screen, I have Detroit, Michigan. And it shows that there were almost 1,700 total arrests between the period of January 21st, 2025 through May 20th, 2026, and it shows the types of criminal charges here, some very dangerous charges, and then it shows the countries of origin in all caps, because they don't understand that all caps um, presents challenges for certain people. It's not a very good way to present information ever. But anyway, in all caps here, they have all these countries listed. And then they also have whether there's any gang affiliation that's connected to any of these arrests. Friends, I don't know. I tried to click around to see, okay, is there more? Can the data tell me a little bit more? Can I feel like I'm somewhat of a smart person to kind of dive into this data just a little bit to see where it's coming from? No, but nothing, no real source. And then at the very end, it has this report suspicious aliens ICE tip line. So here, what I think is this: they're just trying to divide us. They're trying to divide neighbors. They're trying to put a wedge between us, like we're all like, us versus them. That's what this is all about. It's very divisive. It's very dangerous. I don't think it's very productive. I certainly don't think this is a good use of taxpayer dollars. I don't want our taxpayer dollars, and we pay so much taxes, some of us. I don't want our taxpayer dollars going to these types of web projects to divide the country, divide us, for us to be looking around, who's on our block, who really lives next door. Let's go ahead and call ICE. You go to this tip line and report our neighbors because our neighbors look foreign. Or this is crazy, guys. This is just embarrassing, and it is really dangerous and irresponsible. That's my opinion on this. Let me know your thoughts below. This was a crazy thing for them to develop, even the idea, and to put it out there like it's something good. It's awful, truly, truly awful. All right, friend. Our lift, litigating immigration for freedom. Today we have one more week to go with round three of our 39 country USCIS adjudication pause. Okay, so onboarding for us ends on June 7th. So if you have not yet onboarded for round three, you could go to McBean Law's website and you'll see information on how to get into our 39 country USCIS adjudication pause lawsuit. And let's see if I could just pull it up here. So this is the website. McBeanlaw.com, and then you could just kind of navigate around a little bit and you'll get onto our adjudication pause webpage here for the 39 countries. Read the FAQs very carefully. Okay, read the FAQs. This is a group lawsuit. This is not an individual action, so please do not contact us with questions related to your underlying case. And read this very carefully. Certainly you could have a consultation with an attorney. If you have questions, you could speak to another attorney, you could speak to us, but this is available for you. So our onboarding will end, guys, in another week, June 7th. So get into this one if you have not yet gotten into it. For round two, where our first filing will be going out on Monday, and I've already informed our plaintiffs by email. If you have not gotten an email from me, plaintiffs, in round two, check your email, check your settings, and if everything looks okay with regard to your settings, certainly email us at lift@mcbeanlaw.com and say that you're not getting our emails, because I have been emailing when there's something significant to say. So check that email. We will have 3 groups. It's a very large group. We had over 300 people in round 2, and so it's very large. And so the first one is going out on Monday. We will be filing in different jurisdictions. So we will inform you, group two people, which jurisdiction your case is in, so that you could track the lawsuit for yourself. Group round one news. I'm going backwards, right? Round one. Last week we filed our motion to enforce. I'm sorry, motion to enforce the preliminary injunction and other court order related to our round one 39-country USCIS adjudication pause lawsuit. For if you're a member of round one, and as I've been asking you over the last several weeks to let us know what's going on as you're getting your interviews, as you're hearing back from USCIS or not hearing back from USCIS. Of course, we want to know what you're experiencing. So I'm watching it very closely, not just me, but the attorneys who are also part of our action. And we'd like to hear from you, okay? So, and we have a hearing coming up actually on Tuesday. But it's just a scheduling matter, nothing like groundbreaking, so to speak. So round one, we're still plugging away after that preliminary injunction, and our plaintiffs reported out to us what's going on their end, and then we took action by filing our motion to enforce. Jim Hacken also filed a motion to enforce on Friday, and so that went out on Friday, I think afternoon, if I'm not mistaken, with regard to the plaintiffs in his lawsuit. As you may know, our cases have been consolidated in Boston. All right, guys, those are the updates. Okay. Those are the updates that I have on my agenda. So with all of that being said, happy to answer a few questions before we wrap up today's live session. All right, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here with me on. And then also our 75 immigrant. Okay, someone reminded me about that. So there has not been any changes with regard to any countries being lifted out of this 75 country pause, number one. We also have our 52 country immigrant visa lawsuit pending in Washington, D.C. We had a very slow start due to issues related to trying to keep our plaintiffs' names off the complaints, which we're not doing anymore, just so you guys understand that. And so now the case is moving. The judge did make a decision with regard to our motion to proceed with pseudonyms. And so I've reported out to you guys on what that decision is. Am I happy with it? No, of course not. But the judges, they do what they feel is the best thing to do when they're presented with facts and information and arguments in front of them. But that case is moving forward now, finally, where we would like to see more action with our 52 country pause. At this time, I cannot announce a second round for that one yet. We're just trying to get out the three that we have in front of us with round two USCIS adjudication pause lawsuits. Thank you, guys. Where can I see the full video of today? You can see it on McBean Immigration TV on YouTube. Okay, thank you for that. Let's see. I've already discussed the 39 countries and about next steps. I covered what I can cover publicly today in this forum. Okay. All right. Does this lawsuit apply to people who are already approved and waiting on an interview in Ghana? So the 52 country, yes, it does include individuals who were interviewed and they were given an exit letter telling them that a visa cannot be issued to them because of this immigrant visa pause based on public charge. Thank you. Let's go down here. See if there's any interesting questions before we wrap up today. I will be back live on Monday, by the way, where we will have a thorough Q&A segment. I'm just looking for anything new that I hadn't covered earlier. Okay, don't see anything there. Let's see. I just arrived with my tourist visa. Should I wait to get married with my USA boyfriend? You speak with an immigration attorney one-on-one about this issue, because there's this 90-day rule. There's issues related to what was your real intent in coming here with that tourist visa. Did you come here just to marry this USA boyfriend and get a green card? The intent now the intent is being looked at very carefully. Thank you for all of these hearts here. Yes, we're almost at 20,000 actually, it looks like. All right, thank you. Like, if you have not yet started following me on this TikTok, follow, okay? Follow and stay plugged in. We will be, so what I can say is, I'm comfortable saying this, this aspect of things, I shared it with the plaintiffs late last night after getting home. Before I even went out to have dinner, I said, I've got to get them their email. I've got to get the email out to them. So I shared with you last night that 3 groups, 2 of those groups will be employment-based only. We had a lot of people with employment problems in this one. So 2 of the groups will be employment-based cases only. It's a lot of EADs held up, a lot of problems that this adjudication pause has caused a lot of people. Okay. We also have individual lawsuits that we're litigating as well, friends. Individual 39 country adjudication pause lawsuits too. So, and those are, they move at various speed because of various problems that these plaintiffs have with job offers and important things ahead of them. So there's a lot of litigation work that we're heavily involved in these days. Okay, let's go. And we are also watching this adjustment of status problem. We're watching it closely. All right. We're watching this adjustment of status problem. Okay, where am I? If someone is eligible to apply for a green card, PACE, asylum. I don't understand that, Xander. If you wouldn't mind, just try that again, okay? Frame it differently. Is it safe to attend a master calendar hearing in New York? I would say yes. First of all, yes. If you have a hearing coming up, you should attend your hearing. Why? Because if you do not attend, you will be issued a removal order in your absence, which is a very bad problem to have. Okay, we've dealt with it many times for clients, and but it's tough. Okay, but you could also seek to maybe submit the written pleadings, right? And many times when you submit the written pleadings, the court will cancel that master calendar hearing. You won't need to have that hearing. Other times you could also ask for a WebEx hearing so that you wouldn't have to go in person. Oh, we had a terrific, guys, tomorrow we have a terrific success story that we're sharing with our subscribers, and it will be on our website very soon. We're in the process of, we're going to have a new website coming out, I think over the next 10 days, I think, something like that. So I'm not sure if you'll see the full story on a website. I don't think you will, but you will get the email. I think 1.8 or 1.3 million. Guys, one of our clients, that we also help individuals who had received these absurdly large bills, fines from the government, with respect to the fact that they have an old removal order or they have a removal order and they're still in the United States. I think this was a $1.8 million fine that we got rescinded this week. And so we're telling this wonderful story tomorrow. I believe the client is from the Philippines. And thank God she could breathe easier tonight, knowing that she doesn't owe this big, nearly $2 million bill that DHS sent out. And they are being very aggressive with these. The Treasury Department is getting involved in all of this. It's ugly. And we have a number of cases like this. So if you have this problem, friends, with this fine, this big fine by from the government saying that you should have left the United States years ago after getting that removal order, certainly book a consultation with us so that we could examine what's going on and see if there's a way for us to help you with that big fine. Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's see. Okay. I just signed up, I'm assuming for our lawsuit, but please, can I be added to the one before Monday as my 180-day extension ends next week and my job is threatening to let me go? I'm so glad you have asked this question because if you're emailing me and I'm responding in a terse way, I'm a little annoyed. But if you get emails from me at midnight, that's not such a great thing, but I I email when I'm able to. Glad you've asked that. Here's the thing, friends. Here's the thing. If you have a pressing deadline coming up, right? You're on the verge of losing your job or your OPT, you have an OPT deadline or whatever your deadline is, you've got to seek. If you're able to, if you have the resources to, you have to just do an individual lawsuit, okay? With you as the only named plaintiff. And other lawyers will tell you the same thing. That's really the only way that you could really get that individual attention and that urgency to chart ahead. When you're joining a group lawsuit with us, you have to wait a little bit because we have to verify all of the information that you're sharing with us before we put our names on a court document and file it on your behalf. And when there are a lot of people, hundreds of people in a group lawsuit, for us, we say that within 30 days. We're a little late with round two, and I own up to that because it was really a big, heavy lift that we had to do with round two. But Monday will be the first file-in, thank God. So if you have this problem, guys, try to work with an attorney who does litigation and who understands these issues and get that case filed with you as the only named plaintiff. That is what I'm telling even our own plaintiffs, if they try to pressure us, that we're happy we could just refund you, you could withdraw, and you go find a way forward. Okay. I just want to also say that I think you guys need to be careful how you're communicating with us because sometimes it does appear like you're trying to bully us and it's not appreciated. Okay, we're trying our best to help you with this problem, and our team, they're excellent, they're smart, and they're meticulous, and we're not going to push something forward that we don't believe in. So if you come to us, you've got to trust that, and don't try to bully us online. We do read what you're saying on all these different forums. Fine, say what you want to say, but just don't share attorney-client information on those forums, okay? And yeah. All right, let's go back to something positive. Positive, please. Where are we? They must wait. Double tap the screen, follow if you have not yet started following on TikTok, Instagram, or certainly subscribe on YouTube. Thank you. I see attorneys, I see lawyers are here too. Good to have you. Good to have you. It's nice when the lawyers join. Okay. There's also class action progressing in Rhode Island regarding 39 country. We're not doing a class action, just so you guys know. But there is a class action progressing in Rhode Island that some of you should really watch on the 39 country USCIS pause side of things. Where am I? Let's go up. I'm not sure how Catholic versus Rubio lawsuit is going regarding the 75 countries. I have not had time to read what's really going on there. Thank you. Let's see, where are we? Double tap the screen. Is it a good idea to try getting an earlier NTA court date? Kimberly is asking. That's hard to do. That's hard to do. I'm not even sure. I don't even know I don't know how that would be done either, actually. That's very difficult to do. I know back in the day, before the immigration court system became so awful, to handle, there were times when attorneys could negotiate with each other to, change if this one has had an earlier hearing coming up sooner, try to negotiate to try to get that spot, But I don't know how today it's hard, I think, to do things like that. Can a lawyer attend the master calendar hearing, or does the immigrant have to attend as well? The immigrant must always attend. You must always attend your own hearing, of course, with your lawyer, because you have a higher chance of succeeding in immigration court if you have an attorney representing you versus if you do not have an attorney representing you. All right, thank you. Let's keep going. Great questions. Always show up at your immigration court hearing, friends. Um, Does the USCIS policy memo apply to NIW applicants who have already applied for I-45 over a year ago and completed their interview, but no update from USCIS since then? Just that's a very long time for you to be waiting, by the way, after um let's see, there's something that just happened here with the audio. Is the audio still good on TikTok? Guys, let me know if the audio is still good there, okay? Is it still good? Yes. This is a very long time for you to be waiting after having that 45 interview. You said over a year ago. Um, but my understanding, this early understanding is that national interest might not be, national interest folks might not face a problem with this standard that they're trying to set in place. But again, as I've discussed earlier, they're really trying to kind of like, pull back a little bit on the harshness of that memo, according to the New York Times. Yes, okay, perfect. Thank you. Let's see, go down a little bit here. Hey, Olivia says, I'm a lawyer here. Lawyer here. Hello, lawyer. Hello, lawyer. All right. That doesn't make me nervous. I like it. I feel good knowing that fellow colleagues are in the house. Okay. Okay, let's go. Cameroon, lots of Cameroonians here. I've been seeing quite a number of Cameroonians pop up today. My dad received a 221G during his consulate interview in Ghana. What does that mean? It means that the government has placed him in this indefinite pause due to the immigrant visa pause, and they will not release him out of that until that pause is lifted, or through litigation. Somehow he gets the pause lifted off of his application. Okay. Okay, let's see. No lawsuit against Trump's new policy. There's discussion. There's discussion happening, and even it was, even in the New York Times article, an executive director at the American Immigration Lawyers Association chimed in on the issue, like, oh, we're watching this, and they are, they're not the only ones watching this. They're not charged, some immigration attorneys want them to be very aggressive and just get out there and just challenge this right away because it's so bad, and it is. But at the same time, they're saying that they're watching this a little bit to see how they're implementing it and whether there's going to really be any kind of harm in all of that. And here's what the quote says. It does make it more difficult it does make it more difficult to figure out what you're suing for when you don't know what this thing really is, said Benjamin Johnson, the executive director of the American Immigration Lawyers Association. It's too early, he says, to tell right now what will be the most effective way to challenge this in court. I mean, yes, it's been a week. It's been a week. I agree with him on that, actually, because my position is actually that position, but some lawyers don't like it. They think, "Ugh, that's not aggressive enough. That's not, let's get out there and do something." We're watching this, okay? I don't have anything to say about parole in place, PIP. Um, will a DACA recipient have a harder time answering these new questions during adjustment of status? Uh, y- you know, Probably not. I don't know, actually, when you really think about it, because it's kind of strange to ask a DACA recipient some of these questions when you really, you know, most of you were children when you came to the United States. It wasn't your decision to overstay or to, you know, for some DACA recipients did come to the United States, by the way, with a visa. So for some of them, it is an overstay issue, but they were children. So that would be it would be weird to kind of drill down. Yes, it could be, they could ask the question about, well, what factor stands in the way of you going overseas to consular process? That could be asked of you. And like I said, you could strategize with your attorney about how best to answer that type of question. But as far as the question related to why did you stay in the United States, that's really not yours to answer. It's very difficult to answer. Um, if you have not yet started following on TikTok, let's get the follower count up. It's kind of weak right now at 51. Um, let's get it up, guys. Follow if you have not yet started following. How will these new immigration judges impact our cases? How I, the what I here's what I can tell you. Um, the military, the former, like JAG officers who became immigration lawyers overnight. Um, what I understand from those who had gone before them, that they were actually kind of fair. And these lawyers understand that their license is also on the line. Um, so immigration, although the Department of Justice, is putting out this idea that, oh, we're going to go after immigration lawyers um, who are filing these fraudulent asylum applications in immigration court. Okay, fine, fine. Yes, definitely go after them because, okay, fine. If they're committing fraud, yes, of course. And some of them really are. They've made a lot of money doing that. And and they've made a lot of money doing the VAWA fraud. That is the biggest thing. That was the easiest fraud for them to get away with. And now this government finally is cracking down on those types of people because they hurt a lot of people. A lot of immigrants were injured through these VAWA fraud schemes in all communities, not just the Spanish speaking communities. In all communities, there's this VAWA fraud going on. So, yeah, go after those people. Why not? But also understand that government lawyers, there's a thin line. They have to watch it too because of their license. So, and they understand that. So, you know, uh, I forgot I wasn't talking to other lawyers just now. I forgot it. I should hold back just a little bit on today's forum. Okay. How is the first onboarding group going with their cases? Now, have any gotten their visas yet? Okay, so you must be referring to the 52. That I told you guys earlier that that lawsuit has been very slow going in Washington, D.C. because of the attempt to protect names and identity and all of that kind of stuff, and which is very difficult to do in Washington, D.C. and the District of D.C. court. So we haven't, no one has gotten their visa yet. No one, not one person. We have 49 plaintiffs in the D.C. case, and no one has gotten a visa yet because the case is still, we haven't even had a hearing yet. Um, it's slow, been slow, slower than we would have liked, for sure. Thank you, guys. Freedom Now. Someone is asking, do you look at the comments or the messages people are sending you? On this live forum, obviously I am because I'm reading and answering. I do look at comments on posts, things that we put out there, and you're commenting. There are times when I'm able to look at some of them. I can't read everything, of course. Messages, I can't do that because the DMs are too much. So other individuals on our team are actually the ones in our DM. Okay. Mum. Someone is calling me mum. M-U-M, right? Mum, you know, that kind of makes me feel old. Mum, please, can we change asylum case to marriage case? Mum. I understand it's a respect thing. That's fine. So can you change from asylum to marriage? You might be able to, of course. If you have a marriage case, do a marriage case. And, if you get your green card through marriage, of course, you could pull back on the asylum case. Absolutely. Immigration does allow you to have more than one cases going at the same time. Um, but to be careful as you apply, generally speaking, because if you are denied, there's a very high risk of being placed in deportation proceedings, and you could still overcome potentially in court. It's just that it overly complicates things on your behalf. Can you change lawyer for lack of communication? You might be able to, yes. You're always free to get another lawyer, always free to do that. Let's see, let's go here. What will happen to the case in San Francisco now that the immigration court is closed? I covered that, I believe it was on Monday, about the San Francisco court closing. And there's another court that they have shifted those cases to another docket. Go back and watch Monday's live session and see what I've shared. I forget the name of the court. I think it's, I forget the name of it. But this is on Memorial Day, Monday, May 25th live session. Go on YouTube. You'll see that video where I've shared that information. How quickly we forget. You guys expect us to hold so much information in the head, right? In the brain, and it's not quite practical. It's not very practical. Um, okay. Is it safe to file an asylum case at this time? Someone is asking. Only if you have a good asylum case. Only if. Get your asylum case assessed before you file it, please. What is the representation fee for delayed NIW response since interview? Let's talk about that one-on-one in a consultation, okay? Is it possible to get a green card through adoption? Yes, it is possible. Adoption is a viable pathway. It's complicated, though. It's a complex process. It's very, very complex. You could speak with an attorney who handles, you have to have the adoption part of things handled by, we don't handle adoption cases or give any legal advice regarding the adoption side of things, only on the immigration side of things. So start with some research and begin speaking to some immigration lawyers and adoption attorneys who could advise you on how to go about that process. See, here we go. My petition was approved and I'm waiting for adjustment of status, right? We've been seeing a lot of that. I-130 approved, adjustment of status still pending. That's why I'm watching what is really going on here with adjustment of status at USCIS. Okay, let's see. I've been waiting on my response on my N400 naturalization since August of last year. You could have a consultation. Let's talk about that and see if there's a way for us to move you forward. Whether you're going to, through a mandamus action, we could talk a little bit more about that and how that works. And then we'd also want to know too what country you're from. Let's see, I can't, let's go down. Let's see. Thank you, thank you. Has the policy been reversed? It has not been reversed yet. And as a matter of fact, the people who spoke with the New York Times didn't even want their name to be quoted in this article that New York Times has here. Okay, let's see if I could take, before we end, what are the danger to your VAWA case if you change lawyers? Well, the thing is, Sharon, there might not be any danger to it. And also, where are you in the VAWA process, right? Do you have certainly a new lawyer can come on board to help you with your interview, right? That's okay. That's not going to present any risk to you at that stage. If you get a request for evidence, a new lawyer could also help you answer that, or a notice of intent to deny. A lawyer could help you, new lawyer could help you with that process as well. There's really no risk to you if you decide to move on. But, you know, VAWA takes what, 3 to 4 years for the government to consider. So, you know, maybe there's nothing to talk about right now with your lawyer from the lawyer's standpoint because the case is just pending. Okay. And there was good news. I didn't look into it. I've been working on our lawsuits, obviously. But I have seen the videos on TikTok from other immigration lawyers about a decision out in California from a federal judge noting that ICE cannot detain VAWA applicants, T visa, U visa applicants. I haven't looked into it myself, friends, but I have seen those videos as well, and that's really amazing news. Really amazing news. I might be able to talk about it on Monday once I get some material in front of me. I could maybe talk about that on Monday, actually, during Monday's live session. Okay, let's go. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Oh, this is definitely a non-starter. I've asked you like 10 times. Okay, next. um, what is the new policy with applying for naturalization? The new policy, you know, you might be referring to the good moral character standard is higher, it's harder now. You really got to hone in on good moral character. I have videos out there from, I think maybe November or October of last year about this issue. Go back to our channel on YouTube to take a look at those videos about naturalization. Is it a good time to file for adjustment of status by spouse sponsorship? by spouse sponsorship. I think it is still, if your spouse is eligible to file for you and you're eligible for this adjustment of status process, my take on it is to do it, but prepare a strong case and also consider certain evidence and questions that I shared with you guys on Saturday, last Saturday, in that live session. You really will need to prepare a strong, good adjustment of status case going forward, but you could do it. It can work out for you and you can get a green card. Friends, we're going to wrap up now. Thank you so much for being with me today during this live session. If you missed the beginning where I covered some important news, please go back and watch this session on McBean Immigration TV on YouTube. Thank you so much for being with me. I will be with you on Monday at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Time for our Freedom Now Monday show and Q&A segment. We're reachable this weekend at McBean Law at 914-898-9488, or you can go to, you could email us at info@mcbeanlaw.com and we'll get back with you to schedule a consultation. Our availability, the earliest, I believe it was just one slot, and that's June 2nd. That might be gone by now. I don't know. It was just one. Then there's the 4th, 8th, and 9th are our earliest availability. I think mine might be the 9th. I'm not sure. Thank you, friends, for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.